does this data actually reveal about how Nigerian families are prioritizing essentials over non-essential spending?
Yeah, interesting. So, I mean, I think it's good to draw back on what we really understood from the invisible and what brought about the invisible economy report.
Okay.
I think when you look at the data that the average consumer or the average shopper gets from their bank, statements or transaction information, it's usually a series of debits, credits, withdrawal, transfers, and all of that. And if you are like the budget conscious, expense tracking conscious, at the end of most months, if you go back to the beginning of the month, it's hard to kind of like say how much or where did I exactly spend my money. So what traditional, bank statements or information and expense tracking offer consumers is basically knowing how much they've spent. But what our data is basically evaluating is what is like the human behavior, the motive, the context, the value of what that pricing that left their account is. And when we zoom into that, the receipt as itself holds like that value, that information. But most time people just end up, throwing them in the trash. And so because we've built a technology that allows us to, enable the consumers themselves to capture this data, both for their expense tracking and whatnot, it also provides this granular level on the patterns. And what we saw is that groceries, being like the highest, budget eater, was about like 36% of what people spend on. And when costs begin to increase, we started seeing like people started having, two type of behaviors started emerging. One of the behaviors that emerged was what we call the basically like basket downsizing, right? So traditionally, you would see someone who would probably buy a tin of milk in like the tin container going for the refill option or even the sachet option. So even if their average monthly cost was not reducing on groceries, what they were doing was they were going maybe more frequently than buying smaller sizes, right? Especially when it has to do with the essentials. But when it comes to things like, household supplies, cleaning product and all of that, we saw people having the different behaviors where they are willing to switch brands, right? Because for them, it doesn't matter whether it is brand A or brand B, as long as it cleans the floor and does the job for them. So on those type of areas, so when people see price jump from maybe 1,000 to 5,000 naira, they are more willing to switch from previous brands that they patronize, especially around household cleaning products.